Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MJ Hurley Show presented by TDT Media and Erie Insurance. Thank you for coming back for another episode. What we've got today is just a pretty quick show. I'm going to talk a little bit about the NFL Combine because we're going to have Cy Ingersoll, producer who's in the background right now, covering that for TDT Media. So, going to break down a few players that I'm excited to see what they can do at the Combine. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. Had a big day in the NBA today. Golden State Warriors played, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then finally, as always, the Oakland days. Spring training has gone, so the chaos has been for the Oakland days, but we'll save the best for last on that end. So the first thing I want to talk about is the NFL Combine. So like I said, Cy will be there. So just on a quick note from the TDT Media side, because this will come out well before Third on Thursdays on Thursday. So just a little content note before we get into who I want to watch. Cy will be there Thursday through the end of the week. So we're going to have Cy covering some of the interviews, some of the workouts. So you can expect some content from Cy personally. So make sure to give him a follow on Twitter at Cy Ingersoll TDT. And then check out all the TDT media platforms because we'll have interviews, clips, and all that good stuff from the actual interviews and from workouts as well. So be on the lookout for that this week from Cy. And then from the actual player perspective, one note that came out today, Caleb Williams will not be throwing at the NFL Combine. And this is particularly of note because this is normally the biggest event is the Combine workouts. And so when a player with the stature of Caleb Williams decides that he's not going to throw, it does actually make a bit of news. And really, Caleb Williams doesn't need to throw. He has his pro day. And for somebody like Caleb Williams, throwing at the Combine really could only hurt him. So you throw at your pro day, you throw when you're in a comfortable environment at USC, around your people, with your receivers. You don't have to worry about some of the outside variables that can come into it. The players that do need the Combine, specifically for the quarterback side, guys like Bo Nix. I would even say somebody like Drake May, if he wants to cement himself above, if he really wants to cement himself above Caleb Williams, go throw at the Combine and go throw at your pro day. Same thing for Jaden Daniels. I think specifically for somebody like Jaden Daniels, or even somebody on the lower end like Joe Milton. I saw a tweet the other day that said Joe Milton could be this year's Anthony Richardson. I was like, all right, let's hold up a little bit. Anthony Richardson was already very well regarded pick before the Combine. It wasn't just because of his measurables. It was also because of his tape. Joe Milton has some very suspect tape out there. So let's slow our roll on that end. And then I'm just really excited to see there are so many incredible players that we saw at the Senior Bowl. Guys like Dylan Lobby, guys like Brendan Rice, who had really good weeks on tape, Roman Wilson. And then I'm excited to see what their actual measurables are. Even just selfishly as a Packers fan, they have very specific RAS, relative athletic score thresholds for a lot of their players that they don't break the majority of the time. So for a Packers fan, the Combine is actually really important because that kind of dictates some of the players that the Packers will select. One more side note on this. So the Packers punter, Daniel Whelan, I saw somebody posted his RAS screenshot the other day, and it was fascinating because his RAS was pretty good, especially for a punter. It was top percentile for a punter. One of the specific things that was good was from his 10-yard split was not very good. His 40-yard time was not very good. But from 10 to 20-yard split, he was like one of the fastest players at the Combine, period. Not just from punters. He was one of the fastest players at the Combine, period. Faster than some DBs, faster than some wide receivers. I don't remember the exact split, but it was like under a second that he ran that 10 to 20 yards. First 10 yards, slow as heck. Last 20 yards, slow as heck. But that 10 to 20 yards, he was really fast. So don't count out some fakes from Daniel Whelan in the future. But yeah, I'm really excited for the Combine. So again, shout out to Cy. for heading down to Indy to cover that. So you can expect more from TDT Media in the coming weeks on that end. Somber note, unfortunately, the Golden State Warriors played today and they got shellacked by the Denver Nuggets, 119-103, in just a very disappointing performance. Another fourth quarter meltdown to the Denver Nuggets. So let's dive in a little bit. The biggest problem that the Golden State Warriors had today, number one, was Steph Curry's three-point shooting. He specifically has kind of been held to some pretty poor averages against the Denver Nuggets. And one of the reasons being they actually have a lot of depth at the guard wing position to defend all of the switches that the Golden State Warriors. So whether it's KCP, Reggie Jackson, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., they actually have some really good depth when it comes to all of the action that the Warriors like to run. Then the other problem being Curry just once again had no help today. Klay Thompson was on fire in the first half and did absolutely nothing in the second half. And then the rest of the Warriors just were missing shots. They were fouling too often, and they just played poor basketball, especially in the fourth quarter. And the biggest problem in the fourth quarter was just they could not get a stop for the life of them. Jonathan Kuminga was willing them to stay in this basketball game on the offensive end, getting into the paint in the last 5 minutes, almost every single possession, getting foul calls, getting to the free throw line, and they just simply could not get a stop. And the biggest reason was they are an undersized basketball team. Draymond Green has been playing incredibly good defense since the return from his suspension. Fourth defensive net rating in the NBA in the last few weeks since he came back. But him running the 5 against a 7-foot Nikola Jokic, who is the best offensive player in basketball right now, it's just not going to work over an entire basketball game, and heaven forbid they get to an entire playoff series. That's just flat out not going to work. So they're going to need to get, in my personal opinion, watching this team all season, they're going to need to play more Kevon Looney minutes. And I understand that he's extremely limited on the offensive end and what they want to do, but you need some sort of size. Now, I will say the Warriors actually rebounded pretty well today. Having Gary Payton, the second back, has been huge. He's an incredible offensive rebounder, and the Warriors did very well on the offensive glass today. But when it comes to actually defending in the paint against Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, you need to have a bigger defender. And unfortunately, Draymond Green is not it. The Warriors actually switched on to Klay Thompson guarding Jokic in the last few minutes. And it's just that's just not something that can be happening. Klay Thompson is a 6'6" guard. He should not be defending Nikola Jokic at the top of the key. Like, that's just not something that should ever be happening. But you know what we do need, ladies and gentlemen, is when you do have some bad defense, you need to make sure you're insured on the back end with some good home insurance.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
And when you call Jeff at 704-44544, make sure to let him know that TDT Media sent you, and he will get you taken care of on some good insurance. Before we head to a little bit of baseball, let's just do a quick little recap around the NBA. Had some good action today, other than that sad Warriors game. Bucks took down the 76ers 119-98. Giannis looked fantastic, 30, 12, and 9. He's had some incredible passes in the last couple games. He had one the other night, just completely behind the back as he's driving to the rim and start some good ball movement for a 3. And then today he launched a ball, better throw than any Bears quarterback has had in the last 20 years, all the way down court, perfect dime for an easy layup. So he's been looking fantastic. Bucks are 37-21. and they look like the clear number one team in the East to me. I understand that the Celtics are number one overall right now, but when you look at the way that the Bucks are playing basketball with Damian Lillard and Giannis, the Celtics simply do not have that type of depth. They do not have that type of offense, in my personal opinion. I understand that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are playing very good basketball. Kristaps Porzingis is playing very well, but I still think that you put Giannis against that team in a 7-game series, the Bucks will win that series. Moving on to Lakers versus Suns, which was a very good game in the afternoon today. The Suns, led by an 18.22 rebound game from Yusuf Nurkic, took down LeBron and the Lakers, who have been kind of struggling a little bit, especially since the break. And listen, here's the biggest problem with the Lakers is one of the things is LeBron James is not playing the normal minutes that he has been playing. And so when you look at, they're trying to run the offense through Anthony Davis more, which is fine. But 40 minutes from Anthony Davis, and you only get 22 points, 14 rebounds, which is good, 3 steals, 2 blocks, which is good on the defensive end. But you just need more on that end, especially on the defensive end. And the defensive end is where you have a problem. So when you're going up against Booker, against KD, and a team that will have Bradley Beal eventually, he was out today. But D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves are not guarding those guys. You can put Bron and AD on Kevin Durant, but you don't have a perimeter stopper. Anthony Davis is no longer the perimeter. Still a very good interior player, but he is not an elite perimeter defender at this point in his career. And so you need that, and the Lakers don't have that. So when you're looking at this matchup, Suns just all around today. And so the Lakers fall to 31-28. They're going to be struggling in that 5 to 10 range in the West. And so it'll be interesting to see where they actually fall out with the Warriors, the Mavericks, some of those other people in the bottom tier of the West. We'll see how that plays out. We already talked about the Warriors game, which was unfortunate. One thing I do want to talk about real quick, my last little NBA note, is Victor Wembanyama has been playing absolutely lately. Some things on the basketball court that have simply never been done. And 20, 10, and 3 assists right now. But he's also averaging the same amount of blocks as he is assists. So he's averaging 3.3 blocks and 3.3 assists. And in case you were wondering, hey MJ, who's the last NBA player to average 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks in a season? That would be Shaquille O'Neal, the last time that he won MVP. That is the last NBA player to average those numbers. He's also doing this on 28 minutes a game. So he's not even playing a full 30 minutes a game. Like if you were to put it in per 36, his numbers are even better. So it is just ridiculous what this young man is able to do. Some of the dunks he's able to throw down, some of the defensive possessions he's able to put together. He can dribble better than the majority of guards in the NBA. He can take shots off the bounce at 7'3". So I am just incredibly excited to see what Victor Wembanyama can do, honestly, and build any kind of team with him in San Antonio. I think Victor Wembanyama can easily become the face of the NBA in the next 2 to 3 years. And I think he will be in the conversation for the best player in basketball probably by the start of the 2027 season at the latest. Because with the way that he's progressing under Greg Popovich, I don't know how long Pop will stay in San Antonio, but oh my goodness, that man is playing some incredible basketball. So shout out to Victor Wembanyama. Keep doing your thing. And I'm very excited to see what he can do. It's unfortunate, you see such an incredible young player, then the Warriors are getting old. Like I like watching the young guys, even if they're not on my Warriors. I like watching those young guys. I'll be excited to see what Victor Wembanyama can do. But speaking of some young guys that I'm not exactly excited to watch what they can do, Let's talk about the Oakland A's real quick, and this will be the last 5 minutes of the show here. So the Oakland A's not only have already lost their first 2 spring training games, which I understand in spring training, it's more about reps, figuring out who's going to be on the roster, etc. But like the New York Yankees put up 22 runs the other day in spring training, and the Oakland A's are out here getting shellacked at the beginning of spring training. And it is just a foreshadowing of what's going to go on for their entire season. Not only are they just not a talented baseball team at this point in time, and I don't want anybody to freak out on me saying that I say all of the Oakland A's players are bad, or that some of these young kids don't have talent. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they are a poorly managed franchise. Even if they do have good young players, they're not going to stick around in Oakland or with the Athletics, because Oakland is going to be no more after this year. They're not going to stick around with the A's because John Fisher doesn't pay his players. He trades his players, and he's more concerned about turning a profit than he is putting a good product on the field. So when you look at the way the A's are performing, they're going to be a super young team again. They're going to be a team with no chemistry again. The only benefit you can have to that chemistry is that some of these guys have been coming up through the minor leagues together. But other than that, there's not going to be much veteran leadership on this team. So any chance of contention, especially in the AL West, where you have the Rangers, where you have the Astros, not even going to mention really the Angels in that sentence, but the Mariners were very good last year. So when you have those 3 teams that the Oakland A's would have to beat to get any type of playoff contention whatsoever, it's just simply not going to happen. And it's disappointing because it's going to be their last year, supposedly in Oakland. Now, there's some rumors coming out that they could still lease out the Coliseum for the last couple years before they go to Vegas, and that's fine. They would have to share it reportedly with like local soccer teams and weird things like this. Like, there is just so much random stuff going on in Oakland that distracts from the play on the field. So first and foremost, I feel bad for those players because there are some good young players in Oakland. Obviously, they've had high draft picks. That's pretty much all they've been focusing on the last few years. And it's unfortunate because none of these guys are going to get any national attention. None of these guys are going to get any recognition. And then they're going to have to uproot in the next couple of years and go to Vegas. And who knows what's going to happen there. And all because John Fisher has a bad relationship with Major League Baseball, has a bad relationship with the city of Oakland, refused to make any sort of upgrades to that stadium, and a city and a team that still organizes their own fan fest. The Oakland A's stopped paying for the A's fan fest at the beginning of spring training 3 years ago, and the Oakland A's fans still pay for it, organize it, and get it all done themselves. And thousands of fans show up at the beginning of spring training in the city of Oakland to just party together, have fun, and celebrate their team. Even after all they've been through, even after the Oakland A's refusing to upgrade the stadium for the fans or the players, even after poor product on and off the field, it is incredible that those fans still support this baseball team, but they refuse to support them financially, which I totally understand. Not a product that I would want to pay and go watch. But it's really sad because just years ago, when the A's were in the playoffs in the Steven Vogt years back in the early 2010s, you had the A's actually took off the covers at the top of the Coliseum because they had so many fans. They sold out the stadium, which is just ridiculous. They sold out the Oakland Coliseum. And all of those fans are still in Oakland. They still have all of that support. It's just such a bad baseball team. So for the love, John Fisher, I know you can't for years because of that stupid contract you signed to get the rights moved to Vegas. But please sell this team. Please. So that we can get a good product on the field. And maybe Bruce and I have talked about this before. Maybe he's right. Maybe they'll get to Vegas and John Fisher will start to spend some money, but I don't think so. Like, you can throw out all the cliches you want. You don't teach an old dog new tricks, all of that good stuff. I don't think he's going to start spending money anytime soon. So if you're an A's fan out there, trust me, I feel your pain. Let's support this franchise as best as we can. Hopefully we get them to Vegas, and the Athletics will be in a better place in a few years when John Fisher goes bye-bye. But with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for watching the MJ Hurley Show. This has been another episode presented by TDT Media and Erie Insurance. Producer Cy Ingersoll in the background, as always. Thank you so much for your help, sir. We'll be back next week for another special NFL Combine edition, maybe with a little live appearance from Cy in Indianapolis. We'll figure it out. But we'll be back next week. Thank you very much. We'll see you later.